Comic-Con.
There it is. Look at them cars. They look like ants from up here.
Gaze upon its majesty.
See, if you've never been to Comic-Con, they shut down the street and you got to walk on these really narrow things over railroad tracks.
You have to wait.
You
have to wait a long time at the light in order.
That's
to
why
get
you have the right
there.
idea, ladies and gentlemen, watching the IGN live stream from the comfort of your bathroom, probably.
Yeah, we're bringing Comic-Con to you, talking movies, games, TV.
Yeah.
Let's talk about an upcoming TV show right now. We're joined by Roth and Eric. We're going to talk Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
This is the upcoming TV show for many, many people here at Comic-Con.
I like how the title rolls off the tongue.
Oh, yeah. And as I was saying, it's wonderful to type S.H.I.E.L.D. every time you write about it in all caps and put the period.
Little periods in there.
They just need to invent
And why it doesn't ever populate.
I know.
It never populates. You have to type the whole thing every single time.
This is the burden we have covering.
You think it's so easy being...
I have to capitalize.
You have to hit shift and everything.
Yeah.
This is the Avengers spin-off TV show.
Yeah, I mean it's the Marvel universe. You know, they've done such a great job of building the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as they call it, and now they're going to go into TV with this, and they're really pushing the Avengers connection for obvious reasons. It's the third biggest movie ever, and the fact that Agent Coulson is at the center, who was in the Iron Man and Thor 2, Iron Man movies and Thor, but Avengers, so many people saw it, and now it's there's a continuation right into it.
And spoiler alert. He died in Avengers.
He did.
They still haven't brought it up yet, right?
They have yet to explain how this is all happening.
Well, they've teased things here and there, and there are definitely many, many theories out there. You spoke to Clark Gregg. I spoke to him for Much Ado About Nothing, and he said basically there is going to be a reveal of how he's back alive by the end of the pilot, and then the question is going to be throughout the series: is it true or is it not? So there are some theories. I think Joey's got the right idea.
What's that?
Maybe the first time
Is he still going with the life model decoy
I
idea?
think that the last I heard, that's what he's going with, and I think he's right.
I mean, what could they keep? What they've recently been asked, they're asked about it all the time, of course, and they did say that it's like we won't really know everything by the end of the pilot. Like we will be given an explanation, but it's clear that there's more there to it, and that will be sort of an underlying element of the series going forward. Is he's back, but there's how exactly it happened. And in typical Joss Whedon fashion, it won't be easy. It won't be like, oh, he's back, everything's okay. It'll be like something,
something's off.
Something's
he's
off.
Eating people.
Well,
He's eating people.
Is
that off to you?
Yeah.
Clark Gregg said when Joss Whedon told him what it was that he was so blown away by how perfectly it sort of fit into the Marvel universe and sort of the mythology. I don't know. I mean, probably, right?
Gotta be a clone.
Because here's
that
the
would
thing.
be better. I would like that better.
Yeah.
I would like it better than him actually not dying in the Avengers.
Right.
And here's the thing, like you can see that one of the things I asked him is what kind of a Coulson are we going to be seeing, and he said he's a little bit different kind of Coulson, and I feel like you can even see in just the little bit that we've seen from S.H.I.E.L.D. that this is a different kind of character than the certainly that we saw in the Avengers, which was really like this enthusiastic fanboy.
Yeah.
He looks badass in S.H.I.E.L.D. from even the little bit that we've seen.
Maybe this was the original Coulson, and it's like that movie, or documentary, I should say, Multiplicity, where you make a copy of a copy.
I didn't realize that was a documentary.
Yeah.
Wow.
True story.
It was about Dolly the sheep.
Interesting.
That's how it all started.
Really ahead of its time.
So now, is this going to be good? Is this show going to be good? When he announced it, I was like, nah, and then they keep getting people attached to it. Like, man.
Look, wait, you doubted it?
Yeah.
Right.
Here's this TV
It's on ABC.
Yeah.
Right. Like so, I don't watch any ABC shows. So
I mean, look,
know.
that is definitely something to think about. I mean, obviously, us covering TV, we have to. The fact that it's pretty off-brand for ABC. I mean, they had Lost, but when you look at what they mostly do fairly soapy stuff. And this is going to be a very different show for them. But I'm confident. I'm looking forward to it because of Joss Whedon. Like,
Sure.
If it weren't a S.H.I.E.L.D. show, for just Joss Whedon has a new show, I'd be interested because I love him. And then you have the Marvel tie-in and the fact that it will tie into these movies that are so popular. I think there's some really cool elements there.
Don't forget, the most important connection is that they got that girl from Nashville to come be on it and be a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
Dude,
Nashville
high five on
fan number
Nashville.
one.
You know what
You would think
I
the show
love
is sponsored by
Nashville.
Nashville, not Samsung Galaxy.
No, it's exactly what it is.
Nashville's awesome.
Damn right,
I'm
get
with
on
Greg.
it, everybody.
I'm
Next
with
Comic-Con,
Greg.
we're having a panel about it.
So, wait, I think that the one thing about ABC, though, that does concern me a little bit is that to your point, that shows of this nature sometimes have not been successful other than Lost. I mean, we saw that happen this season.
They had Last Resort. A couple years ago, they tried Flash Forward on ABC, trying to find sort of a genre show that could find that sweet spot that Lost managed to get for them that no other show has managed to.
I think, as long as that pilot's good, they're going to hook so many people. Because everybody who cares about the Avengers and is at Comic-Con is going to watch that show to find out if it's good or not and how it turned out.
Right.
And from that little effect they have of that, I think it's a guy jumping out of a burning building, right, holding somebody, like, that looked awesome. I'm like, all right.
I mean, the thing is, it's funny for us who've been fans of Joss Whedon for, 15, 16 years since Buffy began, that now he directed the third biggest movie ever. Because it's like, for those of us who always loved him, it's like, he makes these great creative shows and his characters just pop, and then people saw the Avengers and millions of people who'd never seen his stuff were like, this is really fun. And obviously they're not going to use his name as the selling point because, let's face it, a lot of people who go to the movies don't remember the director's name. But the fact that it is, continuing the adventures from the Avengers, I think it's going to grab a lot of people. And because it'll have that same tone, that same, humorous tone, and then suddenly can veer and get dark, it'll grab people.
Yeah, I think that's the difference with Joss, is that Joss, like, I've met him, but I don't know him.
We passed him last year.
I met him in the lobby of the Hard Rock.
You told him.
I walked by and said, I like Avengers.
You told him you said, I enjoy your movies.
Okay, good.
And he said, thanks. And that was it.
This year I would have been like, come on up at noon. What are you doing?
I have a whole Joss Whedon experience story that I'll tell you guys later.
Nope, tell it now. You've already teased the people. Got to tell them now. Deliver.
It's a 4-later story. Oh. But what's cool about him is that, to your point, that I think that why this might be a little more successful is because some of those other shows that were less successful on ABC did have sort of a more grim or more dramatic tone. He's funny. You can already see it in the trailers that there's going to be the mix, and it's going to be fantastical. It's going to be funny. Probably a lot of people are going to get killed, if we know.
Yeah.
It will get dark, but it will get dark suddenly and surprisingly, and in a very cool way.
Mm-hmm.
What have they confirmed or talked about as far as big characters like Captain America or Thor coming by?
I mean, right now they haven't said anything like that, and they really kind of are pushing that they don't want it to be, and it will not be guest star of the week. I mean, first of all, you just know in a realistic sense they're not going to get Chris Evans to like pop up every few weeks or Downey. So I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. Like they could pull off, if they could pull off Downey popping up in one episode, I'm sure they'd do it.
Season finale,
yeah. Samuel L. Jackson has been asked about it and has said that his go-to joke, but maybe he's not a joking, is he'd like to be like Charlie and Charlie's Angels and just like a voice.
Yeah.
But I could even see that happening. Like I'd hear, we got a message from Fury, and you hear Samuel L. Jackson's voice. I think
it's just clips from other
Maria
movies.
Hill.
Other movie, yeah.
There's snakes on a plane somewhere, we've heard.
If
S.H.I.E.L.D. dealing with snakes on a plane.
If How I Met Your Mother, when she's done with her commitments there, it's possible.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, Cobie Smulders' voice is almost certainly in the S.H.I.E.L.D. trailer. Like at the beginning, when you have that character being told what S.H.I.E.L.D. is, or when he's talking, you have that agent. I forget that. Brett Dalton plays Agent Ward. I hope that's the right name. But when he's talking you hear a voice, and it's Cobie Smulders' voice.
Grant Ward.
So it's like, I don't know if we're going to see her on camera or just hear her voice, but I think she does have a cameo in the pilot.
Does Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have a presence here at the show?
Oh, yeah.
What are they doing? What are they doing?
Well, I mean, the big thing, first of all, Marvel's booth, there's some stuff for them, and I saw some trains go by with, decorations for it, but they have a panel. It's tomorrow, and it's actually suspiciously an hour and 15 minutes.
What might that mean?
Yeah, since almost all panels here are an hour.
Do you think they'll show 15 minutes of the pilot?
I think that they might show the entire pilot, because then they could have a half-hour Q&A.
I'm getting excited.
Go, David, go get in line. I'll host the show for you.
But I don't want to, because it might not, but I do think if they don't show the whole pilot, they might show like half of it. I think they're going to show us a good chunk. If they have an hour and 15 minutes, I think it's like they're going to show us a good portion of that pilot. And then it's funny because they only have announced Joss Whedon, Clark Gregg, and Jeff Loeb, but I'm guessing the entire cast will be here.
Yeah, I mean, it would be pretty surprising not to see more, because also they're going to want the promotion. I mean, this is good for these actors. I mean, people, of course, a lot of people have talked about, these are unknowns. Like,
not if you like Nashville.
Yeah, come on. Gunner's ex-girlfriend.
Relatively, exactly. I mean, not if you're a Nashville watcher, but relatively speaking, which is not unusual in any way for a television show.
Or a Joss Whedon show,
Or for a Joss Whedon show. Or for Marvel, for that matter. I mean, Marvel's in the business of taking, even in their films, Hemsworth and making stars. They don't really, they cast some stars more and more now, but they make them also.
Yeah.
So Marvel has their cinematic universe, which is broad, ambitious in scope, multiple releases a year, split into phases. Now they're moving into TV. When you look at all they're doing and how expertly it's all coordinated, are you just like, what is DC doing? They have any idea what they're doing?
Well, I mean, they nailed it with Smallville. And they were like, we just pitched a perfect game. See you. And they left the mound. Yeah, I mean,
as a DC fan, I just wonder if you feel like, man, I just wish DC could get something like this going.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it's heartbreaking, right? Like, I mean, I love DC and I love those properties, and it seems like it's just a broken record of how many times I've seen things come and either fail before they've launched or come out and be bad. You know what I mean? Like Superman Returns, and now Man of Steel's got a mixed reaction even, and it's like, and then the Nicolas Cage one back in the day. I was like, how much do I have to put up with? And yeah, they do not have their ducks anywhere near in a row. People are always like, oh, Man of Steel will launch, then they'll do a JLA movie. It's like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Like, think of how Avengers was set up. You're not going to set it up with one movie and go out and have Wonder Woman and everybody else.
If I mean, Man of Steel obviously got a very mixed reaction. It's kind of very polarizing movie, but it's successful. Like, it is
sure.
And so I think no matter what, we're going to get a follow-up to that. I did a tweet the other day about just musing about something that Joey Esposito had actually written a whole feature about, which is they should connect Arrow to Man of Steel. And I really think they should, especially because they have so much, they have to catch up at this point, right?
Right.
They already have Arrow, and I know the thing with Arrow is no one has superpowers, but you could really take Man of Steel as just like Iron Man as sort of being like the introduction into this world, these crazy things.
Right.
All you have to do on Arrow is have a throwaway line about, well, after what happened in Metropolis.
Oh, I mean, you figure the easiest way to do it would be that there's like breaking news. Like their season finale ends with aliens just showed up, blew up everything. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to do, and that'd be really cool.
And that would open the door to characters on Arrow that have powers, because so far it hasn't happened. And I think it's safe to say it's never happened in this world, and that they'd say, oh my God, you have powers.
Yeah.
But by saying Man of Steel exists in the same world, it definitely says, well, things are going crazy now. There's a guy flying around.
Yeah.
So I am really hoping they do that, because it's like you just want them to succeed, and they just haven't been able to so far.
Right.
I mean, I think it's interesting because Warner Brothers does seem to be the one that's struggling to get there. You know, you can kind of see what's being done even with X-Men. So within the split studios that own the different properties, that they're able to take this one property and spin it out into all these different movies and sort of emulate the Marvel model the Disney Marvel model in that way, which is really smart and the thing that you will want to do. You know, I mean, I know fans have some problems because it means that there's challenges around connecting the universe. But yeah, it's interesting. I keep wondering why. Maybe they need to get that person that just really spearheads it. And I know that a lot of people think Nolan is that person.
Yeah, I mean, they've talked so much about it. You know, Jeff Johns has talked about that, like with Green Lantern, right? That he was going to come in and make sure this got to where it needed to be, and Green Lantern was a train wreck. You know what I mean? It's just like, Nolan's influence, indeed, how much was he involved with Man of Steel, and what did that actually mean? What did being the Godfather mean to that? There's all these questions, and the thing people don't like about Man of Steel when you talk to them, I guess we're going to spoil Man of Steel, is like that there was realism to it, right? Like for me as an Invincible fan, as a comic book fan, I'd never thought about what a superhero brawl would do to a city until I read Invincible. And when Mark was, God, I'm spoiling Invincible. When Mark's fighting his Omni-Man at one point, they're like, stop, we've killed thousands of people. And so when I saw it in Man of Steel, I was like, oh, that's really what would happen. And everybody's like, Superman would never do that. But I'm like, what do you want? You can't have it both ways. You can't have the Silver Age Superman who can rewind time and do whatever the hell he wants, and then also have it be modern and try to fit into a world with Batman.
But that is the challenge, I think, for them. I really think it's the challenge with those characters is finding that balance, because they also need to find their own tone, that's distinctive from these other tones from these other franchises.
And that's what Marvel nails with all of the lead into Avengers, right? Is that those all feel like comic books come to life.
Yeah.
Sure.
Big, bright colors, fun things are happening, crazy bad guy, and we're done and we're out. It's a great moment.
Yeah.
And that's not what the Batman.
I love Nolan's Batman movies, not the third one, but I love the first two. And I understood what he was doing with them, but at the same time, I think it is a mistake for them to try to continue to emulate that and and try to be like everything. Joey was saying this earlier, but it's like trying to make everything the realistic version of. At a certain point, you break the character if you try too hard to make it realistic, because it's not realistic.
Getting back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a moment, we do have a question from Twitter here. Remember, viewers, you can be part of the show by tweeting your questions at IGN with hashtag SDCC. Sean Messler did. He asks, will there be any sort of serialized storytelling that Whedon excels at, or will it be more standalone?
I mean, while they haven't, there will be a case of the week aspect, in that it is, about this organization going around investigating things that are kind of popping up in this world that is more populated by super people. But there's no way it's not going to be serialized, because that's Whedon. And it's funny, I've seen some people freak out that it will be any sort of procedural element. But you look at Angel, which was a detective show. It had Case of the Week, but then it obviously got more and more serialized. So I'm sure the same thing's going to happen here.
And the good news about that, I think that I understand, because I prefer serialized television as well. But the good news about having something that has an episodic element to it is that it can allow some other audience members to get on board as well, and that's what you want. If you love a TV show, you want it to be successful. So, and the problem only comes in, I think, when that with Fringe that got a little wonky. Not to get off topic, but it became
I just
a little.
ruined like 14 properties. Don't worry about it.
But it became a little challenging for them to sort of master keeping their overarching storyline and having the episodic element. I think for me as a Fringe viewer, once they let go of the episodic element and delved into just the overarching storyline, the show improved.
I mean, I think the thing is that a lot of people want this show to do, which again, Whedon and everyone is cautioning will not be the weekly thing, is every week you can introduce a new character from the comic books.
Right.
And I think they've been saying it will not be that, but once in a while it's going to be.
Sure.
And, but they have to think it through, because if they did say, it's not Luke Cage in the pilot, everyone's speculating, but if they cast Luke Cage, that's their Luke Cage for the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. So they have to think these things through.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, that's why it can't just be done on like a lark, or just like, we're just casting this guy who has 2 lines of Luke Cage. It's like, no, there has to be a game plan. But I bet you once in a while they will do that. They'll be like, here's a character we're going to introduce.
They definitely will, because Joss Whedon came out and basically said, yes, these are going to connect to the movies. Yes, they'll be both sort of hinting at things that happen in the movies, and he said foreshadowing things that are going to happen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I think that's another thing that will get people to tune in a little bit. They're just going to
keep up,
want to see.
Right.
Like, because I'm curious, this show, if it's a hit, and then I think it will be, and it's still on the air in April. Captain America: The Winter Soldier opens in April. Well, if something huge happens to Captain America that changes things, you'll want S.H.I.E.L.D. to acknowledge it. It can't be, again, because they're filming on different cycles, it will not be able to be a complete tie-in, but just kind of, here, I'm going to spoil Iron Man 3. If in S.H.I.E.L.D. they were to say, well, after the vice president got arrested, it's like, that's the kind of thing that we want, and I think we will get. It'll be sometimes breadcrumbs, once in a while it'll be like a huge thing, that will connect it in and out.
Another Twitter question here, this one's from Sean Mayhew. What kind of heroes can we plan on seeing in the series?
Jubilee.
All your Fox says Jubilee. Fox is Jubilee. Yeah, again, like we were just saying, it's like I don't think they're going to introduce like any like huge like Doctor Strange, for instance, who we know they want to do a movie about, and they're probably going to do one in the next few years. Like, that's a character I would not expect.
They're probably going to announce it on Saturday.
They might announce it on Saturday. It won't be a character like that, but when you look at Marvel's bench, it's a deep, deep bench.
Oh, gosh.
And like, I would say, this is just a character off the top of my head, like Jessica Jones from Avengers, who's a pretty street-level character, and she had the detective agency. That's the kind of character, but she was in Avengers, too, for a while. That they could say, let's introduce Jessica Jones, have an episode where we have this detective, and it turns out she had superpowers. I think it's going to be those kind of characters that are sort of a little more street level. Once in a while will be ones that have been seen in the past as kind of sea level, but that I think they'll be able to kind of pull out and make great things happen with, because look at their success rate so far.
Well, they were trying to initially, very briefly, developing possibly a Jessica Jones TV show when they were. I think they started talking about doing live action Marvel shows in 2009.
Yeah, once Disney had bought them.
Yeah. That's when they sort of started it. And then, so this kind of just coalesced in a really perfect way to have Joss Whedon, who's had these cult successful shows, director of the Avengers 2. It's just kind of the perfect storm for the right live action show for them to start off with. But if it's successful, and I really hope that it is, I don't think it will be the last one either.
No. Yeah, I think we'll be seeing other Marvel shows in the next few years.
That's cool.
What are other good possibilities for Marvel TV shows?
The fact that they were trying to do Jessica Jones for a long time, I think, makes her a possibility. And then the one that a lot of us talk about as like a dream one is Daredevil, who Marvel got the rights back to last year. So Fox, there was that whole thing where it was down to the wire, where Fox had to make the movie or they'd lose the rights, and they lost the rights. now that they have them back, Marvel was quick to say, look, just because we got the rights back, it doesn't suddenly mean movies in production.
Yeah.
They're waiting. But again, that's an easy thing to set up. That's an easy thing to have one of the characters in one of the movies or S.H.I.E.L.D. say, I need a lawyer or get Matt Murdock, And you don't see him. You just be like, Matt Murdock.
Right. That's awesome.
Daredevil to me is a great character for a TV show because, his powers are not so crazy budget-wise that you'd have to spend millions and millions of dollars every week. And but he's got some name value because there was the movie.
I mean, that's the problem, right? That Ben Affleck is the definitive Daredevil.
The definitive Daredevil.
He doesn't come cheap to come back.
And Jennifer Garner.
We don't mention her.
So I think that's a good possibility. And then another one they tried to do a couple years ago was Punisher. Actually, who again Marvel got the rights back to, but I think that there's probably a question about how violent that would be, and do they want to? I don't know if Marvel's at the place yet where they're willing to go to such like a gritty place with their other characters because they are, it is pretty.
That universe is so happy. That is such a happy universe.
A happy universe.
Right?
It is a happy, and I think that's the kind of funny, interesting thing in a way is that Marvel on screen became this really fun, colorful. There's dark elements for sure. And each film has a little bit of its own tone, and then DC is becoming the dark place on screen. It's kind of interesting.
Batman hit, right? And when you talk people, you talk about Batman, and I know, but like Batman hit, and he's because he's so grounded in reality. So Superman comes out, and they have to do that. Here we are.
You don't like that, is what I'm gathering.
I mean, I didn't have a huge problem with. I had other problems with Man of Steel, but I didn't have a huge problem that they were trying to ground it in reality. But it's the people who are freaking out about it. I'm just like, I don't know. For me, then, if for what we're talking about here, and this will sound crazy, if they should have done the reverse of what we're talking about right now, where we're taking successful movies to TV. The Smallville universe was colorful and fun and had 1 million people in it already.
Yep.
And now you see Smallville season 11, the comic book, being one of the best comics DC is putting out week to week, and it has Batman now, and it's about to have Wonder Woman, and it's got it's bringing in all these elements where you could have taken the Smallville universe, done a Superman movie, introduced Batman and Wonder Woman, and not had to sit there and tell the origin, not have to waste time doing this. You already had Aquaman, Cyborg, you already had the Justice League Flash.
Right.
They could have gone and blown that up because that had a fan base, and that way you could try to sell DVDs and just go make cool movies.
Right. But Pa Kent had to die again.
Just don't bring it up. It's still David. See, he had to take on Jor-El's powers at one point, and it weakened his heart. And we didn't know till Lionel Luthor showed up. It was bad.
You talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. acknowledging things that happen in the movies.
Yeah.
Thanks for getting us back on track.
Yeah,
that's what I do. Surely it has to be closely tied to the events that are approaching in Avengers 2.
Yeah,
right? Or at least a hint to it.
I think again, so Whedon, when Whedon had this huge deal last year where they signed him to a 3-year deal to oversee all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, specifically write and direct Avengers 2, but at the same time be this sort of godfather to everything they were doing and be involved in it and help bring continuity to it. So yeah, I think again, I think they want to be careful that it will not be like a direct story thing that drives it, but at the same time, I'm sure there will be little things, little elements. Kind of like how in Iron Man 2, Coulson's like, there's something in New Mexico I have to go to, and it turned out to be Thor. Yeah. That's the kind of thing that S.H.I.E.L.D. could easily lead into the upcoming Marvel movies. Like when Captain America, when Thor 2, maybe not Thor 2 because that's mostly in Asgard, but Captain America 2, I can see that sort of thing happening. They could even say, we have to send Agent Rogers on this mission, and and someone has to go with him. So I think when Avengers 2 comes around, and if S.H.I.E.L.D. is still in the air, and I think it will be, you'll definitely see some elements. Maybe that's when they get that Nick Fury cameo. Maybe that's when he shows up.
That's what Marvel's done, as we all know. That's what Marvel's done so successfully all along, and that's due to, first, Kevin Feige made the smart decision of getting Joss on board for those 3 years and locking him down to be that guy. But he was even that guy in his own right. He has also been sort of leading the charge and connecting all the dots and keeping things moving together. And I think we'll only see that happen more and more.
Yeah. And it's going to be a lot to juggle because it's 2 movies a year for now and a TV series. And, it's a lot of sort of pieces that have to fit right together. But I think so far they've shown their ability to do it. I don't know if they had 4 TV shows going if they'd be able to do it. But for now, I think that it'll be a pretty cool puzzle to see come together.
But that's, I think, the other reason that in S.H.I.E.L.D. to date we're seeing characters that are unique to this world because it gives them a lot more freedom and a lot more leeway. And I think that people forget how beloved Coulson is. He's
not
an inventive character for the films,
Yeah.
So
that's bugged me a lot. sometimes there's negativity in comments, guys. I don't know if you ever seen
What?
this. Yeah,
I've
it's
never
crazy.
encountered
And
that.
sometimes
Where?
people judge things before they've seen them. I know it's a very strange thing to hear about.
Surprising.
But yeah, with S.H.I.E.L.D., one thing is that it's focused on non-super powered characters and that they are original characters. And people are basically like, why would I like this show? And to which I'd answer, why have you liked any TV show ever? Like, I can say, it's a show with non-super powered characters that you've never heard of before? Breaking Bad. It's like there's a million examples. You'll like this show because, let's check it out. You'll like this show, I think, because it's a Joss Whedon show, and it's tied into Marvel. So I'm not concerned at all that these are new characters, because like Roth said, Coulson, we now think of him as he's a beloved character, but he didn't exist until the first Iron Man movie.
Yeah. What time is that panel tomorrow?
That panel tomorrow, you're going to put me on the spot here, I believe is 1:45 in Ballroom 20.
Okay, well, so after the panel, come back. Hopefully you'll
Run back here.
see the pilot, and you can come back here. We can talk about it.
I'll be talking about it. I don't know if I'm going to run back here, but I think on video you may see me discussing it. See what happens.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.